It's a beautiful day to be alive, and it's a wonderful day for us to be on our mission to becoming the best versions of the people that God created us to be. And I know that when I mention this, you know that we are on the 100 days of becoming. Some of you have joined, some of you have not yet joined, but whatever the case is, my conviction, what I feel on my heart for you is that you have gone through that same place for a very long time. You've been stuck. You have wanted to break camp. You have wanted to get to where God wants you to get, the dreams that you have, the visions that you had. Some of us even stopped dreaming. Some of us, yes, we still have fragments of dreams. But one thing I believe is, for as long as you're still alive. Someone asked me recently, and I've just remembered this question. They asked me that, why do you believe in yourself so much? Why do you believe in yourself so much? I think this person had followed me for a very long time. And actually, this is a very prominent person. And it was like, every time I bump into your content, I bump into your preaching, I bump into your shows, the power, the confidence with which you speak, like, why do you believe in yourself so much? And I was like, okay, do you have the whole day? Because it's a long story. But to cut the story short, there are three things. I believe in myself because God believes in me. I believe in myself because God believes in me. I believe in myself because God has given me people that have believed in me. But number three, I believe in myself because I'm still alive. Like, that is enough reason. If God did not want me to be here right now, believe me, I had so many, or the enemy had so many chances of snatching my life. But my life is not taken. I am still alive. That means there is a reason as to why I am still alive. And that reason is beating in my heart every single day. The visions that I get, the kind of picture that I am drawing for the future, the things that I am dreaming about, that I am thinking about, those things would not be in my heart if they were not achievable. And guess what? I see people achieving these things every day. So I have a reason to jubilate. I have a reason to dance. I have a reason to be enthusiastic, to be excited, to walk and work towards my future. Why? Because if someone else is achieving the same dream that I'm dreaming about, that means it is possible. I can actually get to it. That means I am not late. That means I am here right now. So if you need to to borrow my kind of belief, I welcome you to borrow my kind of belief that, you know what? Number one, God believes in you, that before your parts were woven together in the sacred places, He knew you and He predestined a good future. That means He knows you by name. He knows the hair strands on the number of the hair strands on your head. Like, He knows you're going and you're coming. He predestines and predicts the end based on the beginning. So clearly, He knows you and He believes in you. But number two, God has put people in your life that believe in you. It's possible your parents didn't believe in you like some of us, but there are some people, for some reason, that are believing in you. But even if no one is believing in you, you're still alive. That is enough for you to believe in yourself and to believe that dreams are possibilities and you can work towards them. So I want us to look at the journey between where we are right now and where we are headed. Because we all aspire and we want the success, we want the significance, we want the kind of dreams that we want. We want to be able to bridge that gap. Some of us don't know how to bridge that gap. Some of us have tried and failed and we have given up. Some of us are in slumberland. Yeah, in slumberland we have pressed a pause button on our dreams, on our becoming, and we're like, you know what, I might as well just sit here. Some of us, what got us into the slumberland is we hit the rock bottom, and when we hit the rock bottom, we didn't find the energy to come out of the rock bottom. So we decided to actually stay. The Baganda say it so well when they say, yagwa nenkona nenywera, enkona we yanywera noga no jijawo wansi. No gamba nti omanyi, let me just stay here. And then a place of disturbance, a place of poverty, a place of lack of fulfillment, a place of lack of the kind of life that you want to have became a place of discomfort. But because it is a familiar place, you got into the land of captivity. And now familiarity has brought about captivity for so many of us. That you're like, you know what? I understand this poverty. I mean, I've been here. I was telling my mentees yesterday in the 100 days of becoming, and I was like, some of us are negotiating on our dreams. Some of us, and guess what? We are negotiating downwards. We're like, you know what? Just like you would have a budget and you'll be like, you know what, everything that we are going to eat today, or the food, the daily food and everything is going to fit in within a budget. Let me just give a random example of 20,000, okay? And then you're like, okay, now we must be able, I don't know, some of you use gas, some of you use electricity, some of you use charcoal, but let's go with charcoal. That yes, you have to buy charcoal, and then you have to buy, and then you're like, now we wanted to eat some meat, but since the money is not enough, let's eat nuts. And then or let's have beans. But again, you're like, no, we cannot have beans because again the charcoal will not be enough, because the beans take a lot of charcoal. And then you're like, no, now let's cook something that takes less charcoal. Maybe let's go with the nuts. And then you're like, okay, so now and then and then after that, and so you cut down everything to fit into that, and you're like, okay, you don't get to a place where, and I don't know if some of you are like me, but when I was in that place where I used to bargain backwards, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of the same routine of bargaining on myself and my joy and my whatever it is that I wanted. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm going to stop bargaining backwards. I'm going to start negotiating upwards. What does negotiating upwards mean? How much more money can I earn? I'm not just going to earn this kind of money forever, because if I earn the same kind of money tomorrow, that means I'm actually earning less. I am going down. If I'm earning the same, if you've been earning the same kind of money for the past 5 years, for the past 2 years, for the past 1 year, believe me, it cannot buy the same things it used to buy 3 years ago or 5 years ago. So that means you are actually going down. So that means that your negotiation is going to go further down. So where 20,000 would fit, now 10,000 would fit. Where 10,000 would, now 5,000. And guess what? That means you cannot buy anything until you are so frustrated. But the moment you say, you know what, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of this situation again and again, I repeat the same day every day. It's like I'm living in a deja vu. And you're like, no, I'm tired of living in a deja vu. I will rise up. Just like the prodigal son said, that you know what, this food that I'm eating with the swine, while my my father's servants are actually eating and even leaving food on the table. He said, I will rise and go. I will rise and go. Even if it means being employed by my father and me becoming one of the servants, at least I will be eating better than I'm eating with the swine. Now, some of us just need to get to that place of saying, I will arise and go to my father. I will arise and walk towards my becoming. I will arise, because me doubling my money means I'm going to be a little bit better than this. Me tripling my money, and I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about chasing purpose. I'm talking about, materializing the kind of life that you have always dreamed. It is possible. It is. But you know, one of the things that is failing us, because we will be talking about one by one, today we are talking about double-mindedness. Double-mindedness. Some of us are too double-minded that we cannot even make up our minds to walk towards our destiny, to walk towards, not even walking, but to work towards our becoming. We have conflicting beliefs. And the moment you cannot align your beliefs, because beliefs are a currency for manifestation. Now, if you cannot align your beliefs, that means your expectations, the expectations that you had, are the ones that are going to win the day. And the expectations are not expectation of good. They are the expectations of bad. What if it never works out? What if I never make it? What if it takes the same kind of energy to even just ask yourself, what if it actually works out and I make a lot of money? What does that create? It creates anticipation. It creates excitement. That means you're going to handle whatever task. For example, you're saying, you know what? I'm going to open up a boutique, and then one mind tells you, what if it never works out? What if you never even get anyone to buy from you? What if you just go a month and you cannot even make your rent? Do you see the what ifs? Now, the longer we entertain them, the negative ones, the longer our belief is getting segmented, and then the longer we actually stay in the same state of being stuck, because we are double-minded. Yes, you started the business, but again, your belief or your expectation, you have already created a negative expectation. So now, your desire versus the expectation. The expectation will always win over your desire. Yes, you have the desire, but the desire has been covered by the belief that you have, what if things do not work out? And then all of a sudden you're frustrated, you feel disappointed, you slow down, and then you don't do anything much, because there's no excitement, there's no anticipation, there's no enthusiasm. Everything has been killed by one statement: what if it never works out? That means every single day we must be in a state of mind that replaces our thoughts with higher thoughts. That says that, you know what, the moment it sneaks up on you and it's saying that, you know what if it never works out? And you're like, why should I dwell on that? Why should I dwell on that? Clearly, it does not take more fuel. It does not take more time. It does not for me to flip the script into the positive. And you're like, but wait a minute. What if it actually works? If it works, if you entertain that train of thought, you're like, that means I could earn this kind of money. Okay? And then now you have the figure. And you're like, oh, so what would it take to earn that kind of money? And you're like, okay, that means I must be able to, number one, establish the business. But number two, I must be able to understand, get the skill set of how to be able to run this business. I have to get the tools. I have to have the mindset. Yeah. So if I can set these things in motion, I need to be able to create the content. I need to be able to make the sales, to market, to network, to speak to people. Okay, now I'm excited. I'm actually going to collaborate. I'm going to speak to people. Before you know it, you are talking about it on social media. You're telling all your friends and families. You're sending broadcasts. You are telling everyone that cares to listen about the business. Before you know it, people are buying. The more people start buying, the more your confidence goes up. The more the money is coming, the more the self-esteem is going up. The more the money is coming, it is the evidence of the positive belief that you have. And all of a sudden you become unbeatable and you become unstoppable, because one thing led to another, and it led to another, and it led to another. So the ripple effect came into existence because of one thing: your thought. So the other person is working with the same, pretty much the same. But what is happening on the other side is the energy is going down, the frustration is setting in, the disappointment is coming, because when you will take long to set up the business, even when you set up the business, you will do a shoddy job. You will not put in as much. You will not, because there is no anticipation. And then you will not talk about it. You will hide your business. You will hide it behind doubt. You will hide it behind fear. You will hide it behind everything. Even if you started a coaching business, even if you started a speaking business, even if you started, as in, you will not talk about it. Someone asks you to introduce yourself and you just stop at your name because you have the negative belief. And it's not because every time you're like, I have the negative belief, so I'm going to self-sabotage. No, it does not work like that. It is sneaking up on you because you are not thinking about what you are thinking. The day you start thinking about what you are thinking, then the double-mindedness is one of the things that you're going to nip and stop. Because if the devil comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy, one of the tools that he uses to kill, to steal, and to destroy is double-mindedness. So many of our futures have been beaten down, have been killed, have been robbed, have been stolen, have been destroyed because of double-mindedness. Because even God hates double-mindedness. He says that if you're not cold, if you're not warm and you're not cold, I will spit you out of my mouth at a very terrific speed. So you have to decide, Because double-mindedness is a state of being mentally and emotionally divided between two conflicting ideas, desires, beliefs, actions. Just imagine everything that is crucial, has been divided into two. Everything that is crucial. The desire, the beliefs, and the actions. That is all you need to get. Do you desire getting to your destiny, getting to your destination, or getting to your destiny, or to your becoming, or to the best version of yourself, or to the version that God created you to be? Do you have that desire? It begins with that desire. And then that desire is backed up by the belief that, yes, I can. I desire to get there, but desire is not enough. No, it takes belief to believe that, you know what, I can actually make it. I can make it, because it is the belief that takes the first step, that takes another step. You take each step because of your belief system. And then the reason as to why you act is still because of belief. That's the reason you will act. Because you believe that if I plant, I will reap. If I sow, I will reap. If I show up, I will win. If I market, I will sell. Yeah? If I work, I will be paid. So the action is actually also backed up by the belief. So you see now, you have divided two conflicting sets of desires, of beliefs, and of actions. So if you are one person and you have conflicting things, you're like, what if it never works? What if it works? What if it never works? What if it works? The desire, yes, I desire to get there. I don't think I will get there. The beliefs, I believe I can make it. One moment, when you're coming from that sermon, when you're coming from that church, when you're coming from that motivational speech, you're like, hooray, I can make it. And then when you are in your home, like, I don't think I am the type of person that makes it. I think there is a type of people that actually make it. They look like Coach Bahati. They look like, I'm saying these things because some of my mentees have actually said these things. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, so their dreams, the moment that the disbelief comes in, the dreams start flickering. They seem impossible. They seem like they're going back into a distance. They seem like they are being robbed and, out of their hands. Someone is snatching them and taking them out of their hands. And this is what happens. The moment you're undecided, the moment you have two conflicting personalities, it leads to indecision. And when it leads to indecision, indecision leads to confusion, okay? And because indecision is based on fear, that what I want might never actually come true. Think about anything that you want to achieve, anything that you want to achieve. So when the fear kicks in, the doubt comes in, and then when the doubt comes in, you have killed all the conviction that you had, because when God plants a vision in our hearts, and I believe that God has planted a vision in each one of our hearts. Yeah? The thing is, we decide. We are key deciders and determiners. God does not work miracles of, I have refused to believe, I am too doubtful, and I am too fearful, and I am crippled by all these things, but I expect God is going to work out a miracle, a magical miracle, and all of a sudden things are going to be fine. God partners with you. The moment you're like, you know what? Even when I don't believe, there is disbelief in my heart, I am going to show up in the house of God and I am going to pray like I believe. The more I pray, the more the conviction comes. The more I pray, the more I believe in God. The more I read His word, the more the fear disappears, because God's word is reassuring, because He says His word is yes and amen. And so, when I hold on to that, when I believe in that by faith, I don't have to see what exactly is going to become, but I hold on to God's promises by faith, and then I activate the principles. Then all of a sudden, I become unbeatable. I become unstoppable. I become that person that people look at and like, how did you do it? And sometimes, truly speaking, the reason as to why most of us, the millennials, will actually say, it's been God. Or like from day one, it's been God. It's because at some point we didn't see ourselves win. We had flickering beliefs. We were double-minded, but we decided one day that double-mindedness is not going to actually help. Can I swing to the side of believing? Can I swing? Some of us didn't have choices. We didn't. Otherwise, we knew if we stayed in disbelief, I knew if I stayed in lack of belief for so long, I would be dead. I didn't want to die. And so I decided, it was more like Muzungu Abula. It was more like, casting a dice. And you're like, you know what? I am going to bet on myself and I'm going to bet on God. I'm going to take his side. If that is what he said, his word is yes and amen. And I am going to blind my eyes to everything the world says. And I'm going to believe the report of the Lord. And by the time we opened our eyes, because when I believed the report of God, I decided I never want to be broke. I decided to look for a job. I decided when I was given a chance to do even the smallest thing, the 2 minutes on radio, I decided to show up like I'd been given a full hour. Just imagine. That means God's things are activated by faith. How I used to walk to the studio, how I used to record the 2 minutes, how they would put them on air, how I tagged my number on the 2 minutes, and how people started calling my number for counseling, how people started calling my number, inviting me to TVs. And all of a sudden I got in, and after a while, after like 2 years, I got an hour on radio. And our hour is closer to midnight, 11 to midnight. And I'm like, I'm a young girl, but I will show up. I don't have transport, but I will show up. I am working by faith. Faith activates. It activates. And faith kills double-mindedness. All right? So, a double-minded man is unstable in his ways. That is James 1:8. A double-minded person is unstable in his ways. Dare date a double-minded man, you're in for a wild ride. Get married to a double-minded man or woman, because this applies to all of us. And you're in for a wild, get employed by an employer who is double-minded, or employ a double-minded employee. My goodness, everyone that is double-minded is bad, is weird, is crazy in a bad way. They're unstable. They don't know what they want. So when you employ a person that is double-minded, you will even hear it. That is why when I sit in some of the recruiting meetings, and I sit on some of the boards of different companies in this city, and most times I will sit there, in my heart of hearts, I will know that I've actually come to a bit waste time, yeah. But I'm paid to do it, so I will sit on the boards, and then I will look at people, and sometimes I will zone out some participants. I'll be like, you know what, I've heard what I needed to hear in the first 2 minutes of their introduction, or the first 5, not even 5 minutes, it will not be that much. And I'll be like, and when someone comes in, let me tell you, when someone believes in themselves, when someone is single-minded, they work with precision. They walk with, as in, you can tell. You can tell. A person that has just come to do the job because they really need the money, but they've not come to deliver, you can tell. You can tell that they're double-minded. They're like, yeah, I would have wanted to deliver, but again, these bosses, they also, they reap from where they didn't sow, so I might as well come and just give the bare minimum, and then I get my money, and then I go and do my business or do anything else. Let me tell you, if you are double-minded as an employee, you will be double-minded as an employer. If you're double-minded as an employee, you will be double-minded as a business owner. So that means everywhere you need to show up, you need to be able to be one and the same. Integrity, guys. Integrity. before the eyes of men and before the eyes of people, and when no one is looking. That is where our skill is perfected. That is where our single-mindedness is perfected. That is where our winning is perfected. That is where we become, in places where no one is seeing, in the travailing, in the praying, in the putting in the action. That is where we are made. So if you're saying, oh, when no one is looking, I'm going to do otherwise, and when everyone is looking, then I'm going to show a different face, who are you fooling? I think you're fooling yourself. Yes, you are. So if you've been that kind of person, behind the curtains, you're in ministry, but you talk ill about the ministry, you backbite, and you do everything about the fellow ministers, about the pastor, about everyone. But when you show up on the pulpit, you're like, oh my God, we are running the best ministry and we are doing everything. You are fooling yourself, because God will never trust you enough, will never trust you enough to even give you your own ministry. Will never trust you enough to give you your own business. Will never trust you enough because you have not been faithful with the small. Which God will you serve? That is why he says that me and my house, for me and my house, that was a solid decision that I'm not entertaining. I'm not entertaining any other God. I'm not entertaining any, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So I need you to decide. Indecision and overthinking, yeah? Thinking about the same thing and thinking about the same thing while you're thinking about the negative, and then you're thinking about the positive. Thinking about the negative, the day you decide and you're like, you know what, I am taking one route and it is the positive route. Let me see where this ends. I want to say it like my mother usually says. He says that the good decisions are actually the hardest decisions, but she usually says it in Luganda and says, "Chiwerekereze olabe waje chigenda," as in give it time, walk the journey and see where it is going. Why is it so easy for you to branch off and go into the negatives all the time? Can you maintain one lane, one mission, guys, one mission? When I was actually naming this message, I was saying one mind, one mission. Don't have two minds, two missions, and all of a sudden you expect to arrive. Where are you going to arrive? Are you going to arrive in the middle of nowhere? Are you going to arrive in a place where you did not set? It's like setting a GPS, guys. It's like setting a GPS. Okay, let's go away from the GPS, because some of the cars don't even have GPS. I know that mine has, but I know some don't have. Let's talk about Google Maps. Yeah, you're going to a destination, and all of a sudden you set one destination and then you set another destination. Just tell me, where are you going to arrive? Where are you going to arrive? Okay, so the overthinking, and then spiritually hot today and cold tomorrow. Some of us, that is what we are. That is what we do. We are not, and remember, God says, I will spit you out of my mouth. I don't need people that are double-minded, people that can't decide, people that are overthinking, and people that are setting two GPS destinations. I don't deal with those kinds of people. If it's heaven, it's heaven. One route to heaven. If you are setting hell and you're setting heaven, where are you going to arrive? Okay, so, and then turn in between, pleasing God and pleasing people. Because when we decide, finally decide and say, I will believe the report of the Lord, I will be single-minded, and I am going to, to go on the route that God tells me. It could be the hardest, it could be the longest, it could be the most tedious, but I am going to stay on that road. Now, some of us, because we want to please people and because we want to, so we become double-minded. And then some of us start things and just not finish them. That means you're double-minded. Yeah. If you start things and don't finish them, you're double-minded. Otherwise, if you were single-minded, you would start and finish. Because some of us, let me tell you, when we are starting some missions, when God places a vision inside of you, and let me tell you, God gives us the power to overcome at the incision, at the start. When He places the vision inside of you, that means He has given you the power to overcome. He has given you the power to activate it. He has given you the power to walk the journey. So this is what happens, because then we are enthusiastic, we are excited, there is this vision, there is, you know, all these things, you know, it just looks good. Because what is a vision? A vision is a perfect trailer of what the life is going to look like, or what the movie is going to look like. So now God gives you the vision, and guess what? God does not give you what's going to happen in between. That, oh, before this trailer came to existence, this trailer is exciting you to watch this movie. This trailer is telling you, oh, this movie is going to be a good movie. But between the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, the things that are going to happen in between there, your vision does not show it to you. And I think God is so wise. He's all knowing. Because if he had given us the knowing of what happens between us starting and getting to our destination, some of us would have sat right at the beginning and said, you know what, I'm not lifting my finger to do anything. If I'm going to go through hunger, if I am going to go through betrayal, if I am going to go through 5 failed businesses, if I am going to go through a failed marriage, if I am going to go through miscarriages, if I am going to go through, as in, let me tell you, if some of these things, God showed them to us, we would never have started the journey. But thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. The one that does not show us what's going to happen in between. He gives us the vision, it excites us, and all of a sudden we are like, we are possessed. We have the energy, the momentum to start. And this is what happens. It's like God gives you, some of us, God has given us, you know, or has told us, oh, maybe fast for 40 days or fast for this month. And all of a sudden, you start fasting, and then you get to the 5th day and you're like, oh, God, I don't think it's that serious. I think even if I fast for 7 days. So we start negotiating. We start, because the going has gotten harder. When he was giving you the notice to how, I mean, you're going to the next level, prepare for the next level, get into fasting, get into alignment, and then, I mean, you got excited about the next level, yeah, but you forgot that it's going to take hunger. It's going to take you fasting 12 days a day, or maybe 24 hours a day, whatever it is. You didn't know that that was a hard price to pay. But let me tell you, our becoming has a cost. And the cost is that we follow through. Come rain, come shine. We follow through, come betrayal, come failure, come falling, come losing. We follow through the path. And whatever God has set before us. Knowing what to do, but not doing it. That is a sign. Starting things, remember, and not finishing them, that is a very strong sign. So I need you to check yourself. So many of us are double-minded, but when we hear the word double-minded, we don't feel like it applies to us. If you go through everything that we've talked about and you really see that you've been double-minded, it is time for alignment. Yeah, it is time for alignment. It's like going for wheel alignment. When you drive, I think it's recent that I think it was either my brother or Ben, I think it was Ben who was mentioning. It was like, okay, this car, when you get to around 100, it starts wobbling, okay? And so I tried it one day. I was on the bypass, I hit 100, and it was, I was like, okay, now I think it definitely needs wheel alignment. Yeah, now so many of us are on the journey to our becoming, but we are wobbling, we are shaky. The moment you engage speed, then a certain speed, if you're going slow, you are a bit stable, yeah? But when you engage speed, acceleration, then all of a sudden you start wobbling. It's like you're about to get off the road. It's like you're about to cause an accident. And after, we took it for wheel alignment. Definitely, you would be free to go at any speed without any kind of fear. So some of us are living in that kind of life. What are you negotiating about? That you're saying, this house, you know, I started, and then in the middle, do I really need to finish this? Do I need to finish it? And then you divide your attention to so many other things, and all of a sudden you're not finishing. Could be a business, could be school, yes, could be a marriage, could be a relationship, could be whatever it is, could be chasing purpose, could be writing a book. How many of you have a book on your heart, and all of a sudden you started writing? You can even say, oh, I stopped at 2 chapters, and all of a sudden what? You started but you did not finish. You are double-minded. Otherwise, if you align your mind and you're like, you know what, I'm going to start and finish, that means you're going to speak yourself into coming back. Everyone that has accomplished anything in this earth is because they were single-minded to start and pursue and finish what they started. That's the only thing that kept them. Otherwise, if they had gotten double-minded, they would have stopped on the way. And there's so many dreams that get aborted, so many dreams of very powerful people that get aborted down the road. What causes the double-mindedness? I want us to end with this. The fear of the unknown. Some of us don't even wait for the actual fear to come. Some of us, it's just smelling the fear of the unknown that is enough to abort our dreams. And we're like, you know what? I don't know what tomorrow holds, but what if I fail? We go back to the same question. What if things don't work? And all of a sudden, because of the fear of the unknown, like, why don't you wait for the fear to come? Wait for it to come so that it shows up and you can name it that, by the way, this is a fear of humans. That is why I usually talk to my mentees. And I'm like, let's talk about that fear. What's the fear exactly? It's all about fearing people's opinion. That means you're giving them more power over you. What will they say? How will they see it? That means you have made them more powerful, more important than you. Then that means you're useless. And when I tell them that, I'm no, coach, I'm not useless. I'm going to prove it. Prove it that you're important. Prove it that you're useful. Prove it that you can do it. And all of a sudden they're like, coach, I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to shoot the videos. I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to do that. I'm like, that's the energy. That's the energy. Why do you anticipate something that has not yet come and all of a sudden, no, let it come. Let it come. So for some of us, we decided that people's opinion are nothing. Nothing. We waited for the opinions to come. When the opinions came, some of them came from our families, some of them came from our friends, some of them came from social media. But an opinion comes, yes, you drink water, you mind your business, you go back and do the same thing and do the same thing again and do another thing again. And all of a sudden everyone is like, you know what, this woman is big-headed. Even if we talk about this 100 years, she will never back down. And off they go. They have other things to concentrate on. They also have their own wiggling marriages. They also have their own wiggling jobs. They also have their own wobbling dreams. They also have their own. Let me tell you, every human being has their own things. The only reason they will spare just a few seconds to peep into your lane and then to start blabbering about your lane. But just give it a few moments. A few moments later, they will be carrying their crosses. So if they're going to be carrying their crosses, dealing with their own problems, minding their own stalls, how about you learn to mind your own stall and mind your own business and keep going? Yeah? So some of us, it is the fear of the unknown. And in Proverbs 29, it actually says that fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Whoever trusts in the Lord. You trust in the Lord for the next step. You trust in the Lord for the next step, even when it is unknown, even when you don't know what's going to happen. Guys, we don't invest knowing that we are going to get full returns on investment. We don't start knowing that, oh, we are going to be enthusiastic and finish. But we move by faith. The just shall live by faith. Okay? So, the fear of man will prove to be a snare. A snare is a trap. If you fear men, you're going to be ensnared. But whoever trusts in the Lord shall be kept safe. Some of us, it's the insecurity and just the lack of identity. If you don't know and who you are and stand firm in your faith, you will never stand at all. You will never stand at all. So many of us just, we don't know. We don't know that we are powerful. We are called, we are anointed. Yeah? When the Bible talks about that food is not to the strong and the rest is not to the swift, you know, but chance happens to all. That means we all have equal chances to become anything that we want to become. So you're the only one that can place a lead on you, or you are the only one that can let another person place a lead on you. How much do you desire to become that woman, that man? How much do you desire to be a different version of you? How much do you desire to get to your promised land, to look back and say, Ebenezer, the Father Lord has brought me. I know that he has brought you from somewhere to somewhere, but there's still more. There's still more joy. There's still more money. There's still more fulfillment. There's still more. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. And lean not on your own understanding. Because some of us, we are leaning on our understanding, and that is why we are double-minded. Because our understanding is affected by so many things. Is affected by our bringing. Is affected by who is in our lives. Is affected by our emotional intelligence. It's affected by where we apportion and how we put people and place people in our lives. It is affected by surrounding. It's affected by proximity. It is affected by so many things. By the trauma that we have gone through. But when he says that lean not on your own understanding, God had a reason that your understanding alone is not enough. But when he says that in all your ways, he does not say in some ways acknowledge him, and in some ways don't acknowledge him. I don't know if we read the same Bible, but he says in all, he encompasses everything, in all your ways. Whether in your business, in your marriage, in your everything, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. You want God to direct your path? Because he is the God that starts and finishes. He is the God whose yes is yes, whose yes is a yes and whose no is a no. As in, he is that God, one and the same. There is no shadow of doubt in him. If he promises, he will fulfill. He's not a son of man to lie. It takes faith for you to believe that God, for you to acknowledge him in all your ways, for you to not lean on your own double-minded understanding, so that he will direct your path. Where does he direct your path? He knows you're coming from somewhere and you're headed to somewhere. Yeah? And his ways are above our ways. His thoughts are above our thoughts. And when you get him to direct you, when you let him direct you, some people are going to look for where you passed and they will not even see. So there's going to be some quantum leaps in your life where people thought you're just supposed to grow according to your goals. That is an incremental kind of growth where you go from one level to another. Sometimes God does not just let us grow from one level to another. Sometimes there's a quadruple, there's a quantum leap. We skip phases and we get into, he opens doors that no man thought they would be possible to open, and everyone looks at you and is like, what kind of life is that? What kind of miracle is that? And it's a quantum leap. When he says that he will give you back the years that have been eaten by the locusts, that means he's not just a God of goals. He's not just a God of incremental. He's not just a God of plus signs. He is a God of multiplication. So if you can put your ways in him, if you can acknowledge him, then he will direct your path. So stop people pleasing. All right? People pleasing and external validation. Yeah. You want to follow God's will but fear disappointing others. That does not work. You are conflicted. Go follow God's will and let him guide you. Some of us, it's because of the past trauma and failure. We've talked about that. The unhealed wounds, that lead to mental hesitation. Every time you look at something you hear, sometimes we are even in churches and you listen to a very good word and you're still like, nah, No, 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 no. As in your mind, you are battling. The man of God or the woman of God is giving you a setting pace for you and telling you how possible it is. Some of them are even sharing their stories, but you're like, no, 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 no. I don't think so. In your head, you're even smiling with one-sided kind of laughter. And God looks at your heart and he's like, if he only knew that he can trust me, that she can trust me, that if she can acknowledge me in all her ways, I will direct her path. Some of us, it's the lack of the renewed mindset. If the Bible says that do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Sometimes you just need to get angry and just tell God that, you know what? Renew my mind. Renew my mind. Sometimes you need to speak loud for your mind to shush it, to make it silent, because our minds can be so loud sometimes. So loud. But when you decide to renew your mind, when you decide to read God's word, when you decide to read the good reports, when you decide to listen to positivity, when you decide to consult, when you decide to pray, when you decide to, whatever it is, it renews your mind. And you're able to align, you're able to be single-minded, and you're able to move with swiftness and acceleration that you never thought that you would actually be able to actually move with. I know that we still have so much to talk about, but I need you to check yourself. Yeah, we're not going to finish what I prepared for today, but next time when we get a chance, we'll be talking about how to transform from double-mindedness, because we have to know how to transform from the double-minded. It is so dangerous. Double-mindedness is so dangerous. Okay, if you get to know, if you look into your life and see what kind of havoc it has done in your life, what kind of havoc it has done with your finances, you believe in getting more money, but again, your actions do not match your beliefs, because your actions are still conflicted with your desire. And then all of a sudden, you're like, if he says, I will bless the works of your hands, he means that he will bless the works of your hands that are aligned, okay, with your desire, with your becoming, with your beliefs. That is what he believes. But the moment you have two different fragments, then he's like, okay, what should I bless exactly? Because the mind is off. Even when they are walking a different life, they are leading a different life, their words are off, yeah? Because confession is possession. And all of a sudden, your mouth is off, and so you are achieving exactly what you are confessing, but in your heart you believed in a different outcome, or you wanted something different. So you see how we fail ourselves? You feel like, you know what, I need to save, but your hands are doing something. Your hands are buying things. They are itching to spend on impulse, but your heart believes something different and it wants to do something different. You are conflicted. So you cannot hit your target of saving. You cannot hit your target of investing. You cannot hit your target of having a good home. You cannot hit your target of buying the car that you want. You cannot hit the target of having your children go to the school that you want. Why? It all starts with you. It all starts with you. Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world. What have you negotiated on in your life? And you're like, you know what? Yeah, you told me to go and look for this job. Yes, I got the job, but the job, things are hard. You know, people are fighting. You know, there is no peace. If he gave you the job, he actually gave you the stamina. He gave you the capacity to fight, to work hard, and to make sure that you are a high performer. He did that right from the inception, right from the start. When you confessed and said, I take him as my personal Lord and Savior, he placed the power inside of you. He placed the power inside of you, the power to accomplish anything, the power to trample over any kind of snake, the power to overcome any kind of situation. Now, when the doubt comes in, that means we do not stay believing. We do not have the faith, because faith is substance of things that are not yet seen. Yeah, but that means they are unknown, they are not yet seen, but you know they exist because you have the vision inside your heart. And so, what vision do you have inside of your heart? Are you beating it down all the time? Are you saying this is impossible? For some of us, let me tell you, let me even take you to healing. Even when it's about healing, you have to have a single-minded mind. And I mean, I've known this for so many people, from so many people that I have seen struggle with sicknesses, struggle. I have talked about my own situation of how many times I have been down and nearly, you know, my life is being snatched on me. And there is no day, I usually say, there is no day I've ever been in the theater and I am double-minded that, oh, I don't know, by the way, what amuses me is most of the times, you know, when I'm in the process, before I will have a bit doubts. You're like, oh God, oh God, oh God. There's a time I was in perpetual fear, I remember we lived in a certain house back then, and that was with Ariella. There were so many battles. I was pregnant, and you know, like so many things had happened back to back, and all of a sudden I felt like I was not coming back from the hospital. You know, living in a house where you and your husband are busy putting up pictures, you know, collage for the family, you know, for you, for wedding pictures and stuff like that, and you're looking at the wall. Every time you walk past it, you're like, God, am I seeing myself for the last time? Because I have all these complications. I don't know what's going to become of me. I don't know whether I'm coming back to even from the hospital and all that. But this is what would amaze me. Like, on the last moment when I go, because every time I went to the hospital, they would just hold on to me and, you know, you're not going back. So that means the last month of my pregnancies, I would move with everything that I need to move in the car. So whenever I would go for the antenatal, the doctor would be like, you're not going back. You're getting admitted and you're going to the theater in the next 2 hours, because if it gets past that, then we don't know what's going to happen. Because my high blood pressure, you know, was, you know, skyrocketing. My blood pressure was skyrocketing, and you know, like so many things. My lungs were swimming in water and drowning in water. And so I get into the theater. In that moment, like, all fear evaporates. Everything, like I'm single-minded. That, you know what, I'm going to come out of this. I remember the last time when I called out for oxygen, I was not breathing. I had gone for so long in the theater. I go into the recovery room, and all of a sudden now I can breathe on my own. And so they wheel me back into the ward. And all of a sudden, while I am joking, I was actually joking with my husband and telling him how I need chocolate. Definitely, he knew I couldn't eat anything in that moment. But as soon as he stepped out to go and just get food for the people that were taking care of me, my mother and everyone, as soon as they stepped out, and my mother actually had stepped out to go and bring something, all of a sudden I was screaming her name, and I was like, I am dying, I cannot breathe. And those were the last words. And I remember she stood in the corridor and called the doctors. I was like, she's dying. And so they wheeled in the oxygen, you know, they were like code blue, and you know, they ran, and you know, they did everything that they tried, you know, to just bring me back and put me on oxygen, wheel me into the ICU. I stayed there for 7 days. But even when I used to come into my understanding and out of my understanding, I was single-minded that I am beating this, I'm getting out of here. The reason as to why I'm saying that is because I brought the example of sickness. When someone is sick and they are single-minded with this faith of, I'm going to make it, their body responds different. When you have double-minded of, that is why they say she gave up. That is why they say she gave up her spirit. Some people get tired of holding on to hope and they give up because of the pain, because of the anguish, because of the lamenting, because of the pain of things that are happening. But there are those that stick out in hope, and they're like, I know, and you don't let anything distract you. You don't let, even when you see the reality of it and you're like, clearly, I know for sure that things are bad. You don't let it get to your mind. You guard your mind. You guard your heart. And I will end there, because out of that, out of your belly, there are issues of living water. So guard your heart. Guard your mind. Be single-minded. If you believed, still believe. Okay? Amen. I would rather die believing than lose my belief, especially in God. Okay? So I need you to look at your journey, move the journey of belief, move the journey believing in God that called you, that predestined a good future for you. That future exists. The trailer of the vision that you have in your mind, recollect it and run towards it, because it is possible. I love you, and I have prayed for you that the grace of the Lord will sustain you, and that you will be single-minded, and that you will reach every single goal God has promised that you will reach in your life. Bless you.